Before I visit my father's family tomorrow, I'm taking a walk in the city's old colonial area, Xiamen Island, which is where my parents did some of their courting. My father was a GI and he fought in World War II, and he got leave after the war, and he chose to come here where he met my mother and they fell in love. My parents immigrated to America as newlyweds, but my father died when I was just 8 months old, aged 33. My mother brought me up alone in Chicago's Chinatown. My father never existed for me except in photographs. My mother never talked about him very much, so I grew up with him only as an image. My mom never remarried, and I think she was of the old traditional Chinese school that if you have children, then you didn't remarry. And so it feels kind of sad for her. Apart from my father and me, my mother had two other great loves in her life: the game of mahjong and Cantonese opera. Before we go our separate ways, I want to share this traditional Cantonese art form with Ching. Cantonese opera dates back to the 16th century and had its heyday in the 1920s. Today, a few Guangzhou restaurants put on daily performances.
It's kind of surreal because I feel like I've just come to a restaurant, but they're performing. It's really beautiful though. I really love the costumes.
And it's very old-fashioned. You see, most of these people are of a certain age here. They're not working, they're probably retired. Before widespread education, Cantonese opera taught morals and messages to its audiences.
Are they all based on like old legends?
Yes, legends, very famous stories, tales. It's not only what they say, it's what they're gesturing. A lot of gesturing. Do you see it comes from like Tai Chi, when they go like that too, see? That's very Chinese. Today, these performances are more like variety shows, put on for the elderly and tourists. It's the aria from my mom's favorite opera. And, I mean, God knows how many times I've heard this.
Our time in Guangdong province has come to an end. Whilst Ken stays on to visit his relatives, I'm going home to see my family in Taiwan.
I miss my family and I'm looking forward to seeing them. But I feel like it's going to be quite emotional because I haven't seen them in a long time. This whole journey, it's about discovery and learning, and it's just the last leg of the journey now, so it's all culminating in this sort of homecoming. I feel I'm proud to be Chinese, and I wasn't always proud to be Chinese. When I was growing up in the UK, all I wanted was to be English. Now, you know, through cooking, I found my Chinese part of myself, and the more I've learned, the more I've discovered, and the more I've eaten my way around China, the more that I'm in love with it. And so I feel like I'm kind of coming full circle, but the circle is not quite complete yet.
Taiwan is an island 112 miles off the southeast coast of China, which separated from Chinese rule 100 years ago. Although I was born in Taiwan, I left with my parents when I was 5 and eventually settled in London.
Sometimes I feel a little bit anxious when I come back to Taiwan because I don't feel 100% Taiwanese. So over the years when I have visited, there's a sense of, my Taiwanese, my language, my vocabulary, my etiquette, my manners, all of it is not quite, up to scratch.
My parents moved back to Taiwan in 2009.
I miss you long time. I miss you a lot.
We're traveling today to the farming area of Baihe village, where my food journey began as a little girl in my grandmother's kitchen.
So we're going to see my grandfather, to see where my mum and all her family grew up, and where I grew up from when I was 2 to 5 years old. And we're going to go and burn some incense for my grandmother, and then I'm going to cook for the whole family.
This will be the first time I've seen my grandfather since my grandmother passed away 2 years ago.
Here we are. Akong! Hey, Akong! This is where I grew up. This is our small courtyard. This belongs to my grandfather. This is where we used to play, my brother and I and cousins.
86年，84年啦，这个
84
我2岁的时候去
He's saying this is 84 years old. My grandfather's lived here since he was 2. That's the entrance there. You can come through. But this, my grandmother, as well as all these great aunts, so always like sisters, and they all cooked for everybody.
Today I'm stepping into my grandmother's shoes, cooking some of the dishes she taught me. And I know the family has high expectations.
Everyone's waiting for lunch. Everyone's saying, when are you going to cook lunch?